Sean, how are you?
I'm good, David. How are you?
Good.
Ready to make
Just getting set up over here.
Right on. You got the rig I sent you?
I do. I'm excited to use it. I'm putting it on the multi right now.
Pretty cool.
Are you close by?
I think so. Was I supposed to turn out a Starbucks?
Oh, Sean, you should know better. This is Echo Park. We don't drink Starbucks here. It's not for hipsters. Go turn that Mad Hatter coffee. That's what you want to look for.
Of course it's Mad Hatter. No, you're right. I should have known better. Okay, man. I think I know where I am now. I'll see you in a minute.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
All right, bye. That's long. That's a little crazy. Welcome.
So, if you haven't figured it out yet, we are doing another Insta360 action camera video. This one we're doing the Insta360 One X2. That's the second generation of the One X. We've previously done the One X Gen 1. That was the first Insta360 camera we tested at Motorcycle.com. And in a nutshell, David, why don't you tell me, what were your feelings on that camera?
It's a great, the camera is great, the software is great when it works. And it had a lot of real reliability issues, especially on a motorcycle. And I hear that was not peculiar to me. That was a problem it had with vibrations on a motorcycle.
Yeah, for sure. This is the One X2. This goes back to the sleek profile like the One X, but they've done some updates to it, and it pretty much does everything that the Modular 1R does when using the 360 lens mod. So why don't we get out there and test it, and we can get your opinion on it, let you guys know what we think. All right, so we're back. We've had a little time. You had a little time on your own to play with the Insta360 One X2,
Yep.
Second generation of the One X camera. Just so we can, again, clear up any confusion, this was Insta360's original camera. This is the Insta360 One X.
Mm-hmm.
David had it. I had it. We thought it worked well when it worked.
Yep.
Corrupted files a little bit too often. Next, they came out with the modular Insta360 One R. Now this is a camera that we've already reviewed. Actually, both of these cameras we've reviewed on Motorcycle.com. It's modular. Battery comes off on the bottom. You have your lens. And here we've got our 5.3K 1-inch sensor. And there you go. Now you got yourself a non-360 camera, standard action camera with a larger 1-inch sensor for low light. So that's the main difference in terms of functionality between the One R and the One X2. In terms of shots you can do, editing, application, really the main difference is the packaging. I'm kind of a fan of the One R in terms of using it for motorcycles, where you hope to be able to use it more than once because the thing's not going to get destroyed.
Right.
It's pretty rugged. It's got the cage. If it comes off, I actually had one time one of the long mount poles sort of came loose and the thing was dragging on the ground behind the bike, and luckily I had a little foam windsock around the case and the camera was fine. So, you know, I don't think this one would have fared as well with that. But we're not here reviewing this. We've already done that. You know, check out the link below if you want to consider about the One R. We're talking about the One X2 today, so let's put that boy front and center. In your use, David, you've had a few days to play with this. Did you have any issues with the camera getting stuck at all?
It was a complete 180, I thought, from the One X. This is the One X2. We talked about this in the last video that we did. My One X worked for a while, then it started working some of the time, and then it just stopped working. Every time I would shoot on my motorcycle, I don't know if it's the vibration. I heard that was the issue for that particular model on a motorcycle. The vibrations would cause bugs. I'd come back and I every single time I'd shoot something, there would be some fault with it and it wouldn't process. never the case yet with one of these. So far, I'm batting 100 in terms of I shoot something, I get it back. And critically, the one thing I always liked about Insta360 that they actually improved on significantly is the user friendliness of the software itself. The desktop software too.
Yeah.
But the phone app's incredible. I mean, it's incredible compared to what your alternatives are, which for me was GoPro.
And I appreciate them sort of evolving the product to work better, because I think motorcycles, out of all the applications you're going to potentially use an action camera with, is probably one of the harder ones
Yeah.
to get it to work right, or to stay on.
Especially a 360 camera.
Yeah.
Because it's this constant change of like the location of the camera, because it's flopping over, up and down, and up and over, and like that presents all kinds of challenges. But.
So some of the things that are cool about the 360 camera, one is if you want to keep your horizon level, and you just see the bike doing all the movement, be it the mounted sort of behind you, over the shoulder, on the tail of the bike, you can just see maybe the tail of the bike turning as you go around the racetrack.
Yep.
Sort of like what they do with MotoGP. It's great for that. It's also good. The biggest thing for me is it's not missing any of the action. So you can just have one camera, or at the most two, on a motorcycle. Everything's covered.
Yeah.
The main thing that I really liked about this camera, to tell you the truth, the same issue I had with the One X1 that I was a little concerned about with the 2 was, you're a fan of the 1/4-20 thread on the bottom as opposed to the little action camera tab and screw thing. It's definitely faster. I'm just a little nervous about the thing out in the wind, especially on a racetrack.
You mean if it loosens up?
Right. If the wind starts to spin this on the screw, bye-bye $500 camera. Having said that, we actually used 2 of these on our recent heavyweight naked bike shootout, where the guys were going well over 100 miles an hour at Thunderhill Raceway, and we didn't have any issues with it coming off, so I guess that speaks for itself.
The aerodynamics of the shape, it does work well with motorcycles. It's heavy, and I mean, the weight's probably comparable actually, but it's the way the weight's distributed. It doesn't make for like a good, and plus it's thicker, so I think that perhaps affects the stitch line. Creates like a pendulum problem, I think. Whereas with that one, I think you can work with the wind a little bit.
Yeah, and actually you're 100% right about the stitch line. That's something I didn't mention. If you take a look at these side to side, you can see the 1R is quite a bit, I'd say, over double the thickness.
Yeah.
When that really matters is when you're using the 360 lens, but
Right.
you can see the difference there. So when that's going to be a factor is when the stitch line, let's say I'm the subject. So right now, for both of these cameras, I'll be in the stitch line. You're going to get more of a pronounced line or misalignment where the 2
Distortion.
lenses get stitched together on the 1R as opposed to the 1X. So that's another point in the 1X is favored. Okay, so Insta360 sent us, obviously, as you can see, a bunch of accessories to go with the camera. We got a helmet mount kit here. This is if you want to mount it on the side of your helmet, like a lot of vloggers want to do, where you can see a little bit of the helmet in the shot. They also have a unicorn mount. The thing I like about Insta360, I feel like they're constantly, upgrading their products. So this is sort of the original lighter. You have your extendable telescopic poles if you really want to get the camera out, or for shorter stuff, your handlebar or on your helmet, you can use a pole like this. Now Insta360 has a new one.
Longer. That's nice.
Longer. And I actually just opened this up before we shot, so you can see mine's quite a bit longer than David's in the video.
Oh.
Because mine's longer, it's heavier, so they also designed a larger helmet sticky mount. Now the thing you want to keep in mind, this is not a setup I run that often. It does give a cool perspective, kind of looking down on you, sort of bird's eye view to an extent. The helmet's going to be bigger than your body. Anytime you're going to put something on the end of a pole, even if it's only a few ounces, still a few ounces, after a while moving around with wind going on it, you're going to feel it. So it might not be a shot you're going to want to wear all day long on your trip to the Alps, but you can definitely complement your your catalog of shots just to get these really cool perspectives.
There's a strong use case for this on the bike itself, like mounting it on the bike, as opposed to using this the selfie stick, which is also really good, I think, and a big improvement on previous versions. But what I like about these is that they're so rigid that you can expect less bouncing around if you mount it not just to your helmet, but to the bike itself.
Right.
You can use these for that.
You can link together 2 or 3 of these, but you do run the risk of, you know, when you're bouncing up and down and wind and whatnot, they can start to bend at the joints, which in of itself is not a big deal, but the only way that sort of invisible selfie stick thing works, where the software for the Insta360 removes the pole or the selfie stick, is if it's in a straight line under the bottom of the camera. Straight line like this.
Right.
Meaning, if we turn this way, suddenly
Yeah.
this is gonna become visible. So you have to have a straight line between the 2 lenses going down. So that also applies for
Right,
these.
and these can be a problem, and if you have a few of them both put together, I've actually a hack for that. You order the same thread and with an Allen key screw. You can order the screw itself, and then just take an Allen key and tighten it, and you can tighten that thing where it will not move, and then it's just the screw head. So you don't have this big
Right.
thumb screw.
If you don't have the Allen and you do want to torque it down, and I do recommend it, you really want to crank these down as hard as you can, basically. Harder than you might be able to with your fingers. These handy little tools that come in the motorcycle mount kit are great for that. Another thing that they added on into the more recent motorcycle bundle kit right here are these great little sort of like, if any of you guys are probably familiar that like to run phones on your motorcycles, RAM mount. These are actual RAM mount mounts.
Oh, I haven't seen the big one yet.
Yeah, so they come in different sizes. So, you know, also if you wanted to perhaps use this setup, but you have a bit of tubing on your bike that's too large for the standard Insta360, you can always buy a larger one. Another thing that I like to do sometimes, because even with this setup, you're basically putting your faith in one ball joint, so you really do need to crank this down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can stabilize. Now you have 2 points. That thing's not going to loosen. So
Yeah.
you know, let's say you were putting this on the rear foot pegs, or maybe the subframe, and this could go on the passenger pegs with another clamp. You know, kind of like that. And now you got
That's
2
very
points.
solid.
That's solid. One thing I really appreciate about Insta360, it seems like the company is constantly evolving their products.
Yeah.
The motorcycle bundle kit, you know, they added. This didn't originally come with it. You know,
And it's great, by the way. I have to say that had a significant effect on the bouncing and wobbling. Because before that, it wasn't a ball mount that they'd give you. It was a clamp with one of the like standard type of plastic connectors, and they're just weak.
Yeah.
So on a motorcycle, especially with bouncing, it really would torque the thing. And I thought that this selfie stick that's included is pretty secure, even when it's extended most of the way.
You used to have to turn each section of the selfie stick to lock it like that. If you left it out, it's totally loose. You don't have to do that anymore either. So, you know, kudos to Insta360 for not just resting on their laurels and refining the products. I think this is probably the best camera invention for moto vloggers and people that are doing travel video and that kind of stuff. Because as one person, you can basically, with 1 or 2 of these cameras, cover everything you need. You can put this on the side of the road, just like that.
Nice.
Let it roll.
Start recording.
And come wrapping around the corner, and you just pan in post to follow the bike. So it's as if you had a camera crew there with you.
Mm-hmm.
You can get those incredible shots that look like FPV drones. Like, how did they get that shot where the drone's just constantly 4 feet behind the guys on the bike? Well, this is how you do it. The caveat with that, though, is you do need some length of these, so you're going to want to extend it off the back. David was jokingly in the beginning of our video, I think you were extending it out. But
It's
you do,
long.
Yeah, it is long.
It's almost offensive.
Depending on who you are. But you want to keep in mind, you know, the pendulum effect of that, and you want to rig it up in a way that's going to stay there when you start going faster and going over bumps. Also, you got to keep in mind if it's sticking off the side of your bike or the front or the back. You know, are there other vehicles around? It's easy to forget it's there because they're so light and, you know, there goes your camera.
Just don't try and drag your elbow.
They're great for racing, for track days, but some of those setups that we were just describing, where you have the magic selfie stick extended all the way out, may or may not work with your organization. One of the great things about the Insta360, like we were saying, is the mounting possibilities, and with these clamps and these invisible selfie sticks, as well as some of the other mounts, it really opens up a lot of possibilities. But you want to get even more elaborate. One of the things that Insta360 started making is this little beauty.
Surprisingly, really, really cool. At first, when I put it on, I felt ridiculous. I pulled up to Newcomb's Ranch with that thing on. It was like a packed house. I'm like, what am I? I've got a big tail sticking up out of my back.
But now you've grown to be okay with wearing this?
The footage was.
Okay,
it's perhaps the best. Yeah. Oh goodness. Oh goodness me. Oh my. This is sheltered from the wind, and your body's very stable on a motorcycle. It's not feeling all the vibrations. Right. You're naturally dampening it.
Dear viewer, at this point in our recording, David's camera belt inadvertently muted his mic pack. We apologize for any acoustic inconvenience listening to camera mic audio might cause, and thank you for your understanding.
You can adjust the angle of this. It's got some.
This is my favorite part of wearing this
like
thing.
A rooster tail, and then you just crank it down, and the teeth on this lock together, and then so you can have it all the way back there.
Yeah, if you're okay being a little ridiculous looking, it comes out pretty cool.
It comes out great. So I was pretty happy to see them come out with this because, as you've probably seen if you've watched some of our other reviews, I was partial to using the Medusa camera vest. It's got a really long name. We'll put that on the bottom of the screen because I just can't remember the full name of this product as much as I try. This gives you a cool over-the-shoulder shot, but one of the problems with this that kept it from being perfect was that because these cameras capture everything, you could get the arm to disappear, can get stitched out, but there's still right. So you're seeing the vest on the rider, you're seeing the straps over the shoulder. So this pretty much eliminates that.
If you really have footage of me wearing that, and you'll have a shot with this, and I'm wearing a black jacket. A lot of us wear simple black jacket. You almost didn't even notice the belt, and because it's like far back and out, and it's very stable in terms of vibration and wind. It was a pretty cool shot. Yeah. I have to say, very, very cool. I was surprised at how much I liked the footage from this. It's a little bit intrusive wearing it. You do feel like there's this big thing behind
it. It's like the unicorn mount on the helmet.
Like
you're getting these great shots, but it's not something you'd probably wear all day long.
Right. Well, that speaks to another issue with 360 cameras on motorcycles. There's some angles that you can get a nice, steady, long shot. I think hard mounting it to the bike behind you is one that lasts. You can use a lot of that footage. But I think many of the shots, they're kind of novelty and very cool, but you want to switch it up a lot. Because you can only have so much of the really low shooting at the front tire, for example, or your one of your feet. It's like there's a lot of things you got to switch up.
But if you are doing that and you have the time and you want to get all the different coverage of your bike and all these really immersive angles to really make the non-riders know what it feels like to ride, and the front fork moving up and down, and you can see the suspension and the contact patch on the ground, then cutting to the rear shock and the suspension going. The nice part about these 360 cameras, unlike other conventional action cameras, is you just got to get it in the area and then hit record. You're not having to pull out your phone and look at the app and see if you lined it up, because it's 360, so you line it up and get it close and it's good. So that's a huge time saver. You shoot you and your friend at the same time, and that's really, really cool. I mounted it on a certain positions where the footage was just as good of my friend as it was of me. And there are two completely different scenes, and here with one camera, you're getting both, which is awesome. Like, you couldn't do that before. And that's the part that, when I used the One X1, I was like, whoa, this thing is so cool. It has so much potential. If only the videos were stable. Because for that reason, often when I was mounting GoPros with the guys for a test or racing, you know, you're deciding between, well, do I want to get a shot of, you know, the tail, mounted on the tail of the bike, let's say, and you see the rider, but all you're going to get is his butt, his back, and his leathers for the whole time that it's rolling. Or, you know, we could flip the camera around and you can get behind you, but you can't get both. But with these, with one camera, you're getting both shots.
Cut it so it's shooting you, and cut it so it's shooting. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. And then, let's see, some of the other accessories we got from Insta360. They fun, well, lens cap. The camera actually comes with this little pouch here that achieves the same thing. So for me, I'm kind of a big fan of that pouch. Just keep it on there all the time.
There really isn't a guard for the lens though, right?
They do make one. That's the next thing I was going to say. So as you can see with this case for the 1R, the lens guard for the 1R, and also they make one for the 1X2. That's definitely a no-brainer. I would definitely recommend getting that, because once you chip the lens, you know, with a little pebble or a rock that flies up from someone's tire in front of you, that's it. That imperfection is always going to be anytime you're shooting out of that part of the lens. So unfortunately, we didn't get an opportunity to test that with the 1X2. Did test them with the 1R. Originally, full disclosure, the software for the desktop studio would perfectly detect and eliminate any of the ring on the outside. Later, as I started using these, you could still see a little bit of where the lens guard was. So I'm not sure if that's something with my particular camera. I think it is, because like I said, I used it for quite a long time without having an issue. So if any of you in the comments section have used the lens guard in the 1X2 and want to let us know how that worked for you, feel free to chime in. And for about $20, you can get a 3.5 millimeter to USB-C audio adapter to let you run a lav mic into the 1X2.
One of the things you can do with the phone app is you can actually edit the video. I did a short one. I think we'll cut to that in the B-roll.
Right.
I've never been that great with editing on a phone. I find like setting your in and out points, dragging things can be a little, you know, maybe I have fat fingers, I don't know. It works, but I haven't totally mastered the workflow for like how to link together separate clips. So let's say I want a section of video from clip 1 and a section of video from clip 2. It takes a little learning of the workflow, how to navigate to the other clip while still staying in the editing mode.
Oh yeah, for me that was impossible. I could barely use the jump cut function within one clip. And
Right,
that I found difficult. But then again, I'm a primitive person when it comes to these things.
That's much easier, like David was saying, you know, doing a jump cut from different sections of one clip. I think you can do it. If not, we'll put a graphic through.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you can. I struggled with it though.
You can do it between different clips. They also have, like DJI with their drones, they have a library of music that comes within the app, so you can add music to it.
Yeah.
You can do transitions between the shots. You know, you can pick different filters. So pretty much, you know, just with this camera and your smartphone, that's all you need. And then you can immediately from wherever you are, as long as you have phone service, upload it straight up. So pretty cool tech.
Very cool.
They work great for, you know, more professional workflows with other more professional cameras, and they work great as a standalone product. So really, really cool innovation, and I think it's, you know, something outside the motorcycle industry that works great for us motorcyclists. So there's not really a whole lot of flaws. You know, the biggest one, if we go back to our original review, was the instability of the files. They've totally covered that. I think I've had one time where I got a notice about a file being corrupted, and I think it was at the last file, and the card was full. Battery life's improved. Ease of use is improved. I wasn't a big fan on the original 1X. The screen was just basically like a very basic kind of Casio watch.
Yes, useless almost.
And very often I would find myself, I thought I was hitting record to do more 360 video, and I actually changed modes and I shot time lapse, or I took a photo. We did have that happen today. We did a little ride. It can still happen. So you know, that's why I'm a big fan of using the app as opposed to touching the phone. Sometimes when you're riding on a motorcycle, it's much easier just to hit a button with your gloved hand. You know, so just you want to watch and you look at the LCD screen that you're in the mode that you think you are, because you can come back and just, I just got this epic video. Like, no, I got.
We did that today. Yeah.
got some
that
photos,
tunnel shot
so
was awesome, and all those shots downtown with the buildings were really cool, and then we found out that was in time lapse.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
well.
that brings us to
It
another
happens.
point. There's so many different things you can do with these cameras.
Yeah.
You can do a panoramic. It can take a photo of a crowded area, and it'll do multiple photos, and then it'll ghost town, I think they call it, and it'll remove all the people.
That's
so it
cool.
looks like
I
it's
didn't know
empty. So, you know, if you're traveling around the world and you're on a motorcycle trip and you want to just kind of have one camera to capture your trip, it's a pretty good option. The only thing I will say that I don't think Insta360 is on the same level with GoPro is audio.
Mm-hmm.
I think they still have some work to do with their
Yeah.
audio. You know, it has a function where you can adjust the audio to cut down on wind noise, but you suddenly hear all the level drop down, and it kind of has a sort of underwater,
Right.
muffly, distorted digital
Yeah.
sound, and it still kind of has that.
I think the colors are a little bit better on GoPro, but I'm using automatic settings, so you know, and it's pretty close anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if we're comparing, you know, and I haven't even used the latest GoPros, the 9 and the 10, but even the
Oh,
7,
yeah.
if we're straight standard action camera shooting in 4K, the image you're going to get out of the 360 is not going to be quite the same
Yeah,
level.
not
but
close,
you're
yeah.
also going to have captured the action that you want to get. You know,
That's
you have
right.
A beautiful empty shot that all the action happened behind the camera. It's not going to do any good.
Yep.
So pick your poison. If you do like the idea of not always being married to having to shoot 360, I think on the One X2 it lets you shoot with just one lens. I forgot the name they gave it.
Yeah, GoPro has the same function on its max.
Right.
Yeah,
Or what I was going to say.
it's like action camera mode essentially.
Right. Or your other option, you know, is to buy the 1R, which is modular, and you know you can just swap out the lens for the 4K
Yep.
or the 1-inch lens. But yeah, I'm a fan. I think Insta360, they totally evolved the product in a short amount of time. They addressed the shortcomings of the first generation. David, what are you going to do now? Like, are you buying one more camera?
There's going to be a follow-up video to this one in which I talk about how I bought yet another 360 camera because I actually think I'm going to sell my GoPro because I just can't figure it out and go with this one.
So if anyone's looking for a GoPro camera,
yeah, hit me up.
put in the comments below. Okay. All right, I think that about wraps it up for the Motorcycle.com Insta360 One X2 review. Thanks for watching. Hope this answered some of the questions that you guys might have had if you're thinking about purchasing one of these. Yeah, really cool product, and it's something that I'll keep in my workflow moving forward for making the Motorcycle.com videos. Thanks for watching. Come back soon. Bye.